Hello everyone, today I will be reacting to this video. I hope you enjoy and thanks for watching.
If your rent is the same as a mortgage payment, shouldn't you just buy a home? Well, on top of the mortgage, there are all these expenses associated with homeownership. If you were renting, you could devote that money to investing in a much faster appreciating asset. Only about 20% of a typical homeowner's payments go towards the principal on their home. So if your rent is the same as a mortgage, don't assume that buying is better until you compare it to the total cost of homeownership.
I don't think that renting is throwing money away, and actually it's a decision that can make a lot of people wealthier than buying a home ever would. Let me explain. I truly do not understand society's obsession with the phrase renting is throwing money away, and like this belief that if you're paying rent, it's such a waste of money because the money goes nowhere. But if you buy a home, it's going towards the mortgage. If that's your argument, then we technically throw money away on essential services every single month. Let's take utilities, for example. You pay every month for electricity, water, trash, gas, like whatever. You're paying all these utility bills and you're just throwing that money away. That money's just gone. So like, what a waste, right? Like, no, you're paying for a service and you understand that you're paying for a service. Those are essential services. You want your home to be heated. You want to have water in your home. And so you're okay with paying money every month in exchange for those services. Renting is the same. You are paying for a service. Like, you're renting a space to live in. And yes, we can go through the whole argument where like shelter is a basic human need and we shouldn't have to pay for it, but that's a whole nother conversation. There's also a lot of perks that you have when you're renting that you lose when you're owning, like maintenance costs. I am not responsible for replacing a dishwasher breaks, right? Like, my landlord will handle that. They'll call someone, they'll hire someone, they'll pay for it. And if you own a home, you pay for everything. So that's a big one. If you live in like an apartment building, you may also have access to amenities like a gym or a pool that you wouldn't normally be able to access if you owned a home. You also have flexibility when you rent. You're not tied down. Like, even if you're on a year-long lease and not like month to month, when that year ends, you could go move to Australia. There's so much freedom and flexibility, but when you own a home, it's not that easy. Now, in terms of my money being better used towards renting, this is obviously a very like nuanced and personal discussion, but for me personally, where I live, it is cheaper to rent than it is to buy. And I'm sorry, that's like just the fact. So I have way more money per month to invest renting than if I were to have a mortgage. I would have less cash flow per month, less money to put towards investment. So that's already a big thing. But not to mention the down payment. I'm pulling money out of investments that could have stayed in till retirement, earning more in the stock market than it's going to earn on a home. But instead, I'd be pulling it out to put a down payment towards this house. You got to think about all the costs. You can't just compare renting costs to mortgage costs. You have to explore all the other financial costs, and you also have to explore the emotional reasons and things like that, which is the only reason I'm even thinking about buying a home, is because of the emotional reasons. Financially, I will be richer in retirement if I continue renting. That's all.
The pros and cons of buying a home, renting where you live, and investing that money.
Okay. Think about a house you want to buy. Take the mortgage payment, add the property taxes, add the insurance. That's generally the fixed cost that you're not really getting out. Now, a lot of times people compare all those three with a rent price, but it's wrong, because when you have a mortgage, a part of it is going towards principal, which is actually your money. So the real way to see if it makes sense buying or renting is to take the mortgage part, remove the principal out of the equation, so you're left with the interest. So then you have interest, which you're paying money, it's never coming back to you. You have your property taxes, it's not coming back to you, and you have your insurance, it's not coming back to you. So that's truly your fixed cost on buying. So the magic question is, if you can find that same house for rent less than those three amounts combined, then mathematically it makes sense to rent.
You see, this is one of the reasons why people lack financial literacy. Just because you choose to rent a place does not mean you're throwing money down the drain. Obviously, we all want to buy a house. We all want to become homeowners someday. But if you buy a house that you cannot afford, then you are setting yourself up to become house poor. People don't understand the total cost of home ownership. Not only are you just buying a house, but you're also paying for property taxes and maintenance. Your rent is the most amount of money that you'll ever pay, while your mortgage is the least amount of money you'll ever pay. People don't take the cost of home ownership into the equation. And I know somebody's gonna comment that a house is building equity, but if you can't afford it, then don't get it. And majority of Americans can't afford to buy a home, which is the unfortunate reality and truth.
When you're buying a house, your mortgage is the least that you're going to pay every month. When you're renting, the rent is the most you're going to pay in a month. Very true, because you don't just have a mortgage. People love to compare a mortgage with rent, and they say, oh, the mortgage is only $200 a month more, but I get to own it. Sure, but what about property taxes, insurance, repairs, maintenance, all the other things that go along with that? But in a lot of cases with renting, you'll end up saving some money because the cost per month is going to be lower in the short.
What no one's going to tell you right now? No one. You're not going to hear it anywhere. On the platform, on the internet, on TikTok, everyone's going to tell you, buy a house. You got to buy a house. If you don't buy a house now, you may never be able to in your life. You got to do it now. Yeah, it's all nonsense. Every bit of it is nonsense. Because the truth is what no one's telling you. In almost all cities across the country right now, it's better to rent. Yeah. It's better to rent. But do you know why no one tells you that? I mean, why no one tells you that? There's no money in it. Who makes money if you rent? Oh, I know. You think that the landlord's going to get rich somehow because you can choose now where you rent. You can choose anywhere. And there's lots of places to rent. They're all over the place. And you can negotiate your conditions right then and there. Everybody acts like, oh, the landlord's going to take advantage of it. No, you can get a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year contract, and it spells out exactly what has to be done. So there's no surprises. But if you notice, nobody, I mean nobody says, hey, right now, you can get your best value renting. And they won't, because the people you're listening to make money on the transaction. Just remember that. The people that are telling you that it's so urgent to buy right now are the people that just want your money. And that is a fact.
My mortgage went up $1,000 and I am not okay. So let me tell you guys, for the longest time, people be screaming from the hilltop, home ownership is not it. Like, don't rush, don't rush. And I will just be like, I don't understand it because I'm literally chilling. Like, cheaper than rent. I was bamboozled. So let me tell y'all what they do not tell y'all about real estate. So they do an analysis every year from, at least with the mortgage that I got, right? And so they did an analysis and basically my mortgage increased by $1,000. And I asked them why. And they were like, something about my house is a new build. And so I guess they charged me for the taxes when it was just the land for 2 years. Then after year 2, they add the taxes with the house actually on it. And they were like, yeah, your builder is supposed to tell you. They didn't. They didn't. And so I asked them, can I sell the house? And they were like, there's no equity in it. You guys see me smiling, but come next month, I'm literally going to be in tears because $1,000 extra a month, I legit want to move back home and live with my parents. But I don't have that option. I'm sick. Like, I'm sick. Honestly, don't buy a house if you're single. Like, buy a house when there's 2 incomes coming in because, baby, you gonna need it.
You should not feel guilty about renting. Just to start this off, I rent by choice. I could go out and buy a place today, cash. I don't. Why? In America, we have been taught buying is what real people do, real Americans. And if you're renting, you're pretty much a second-class loser. And in fact, we have these trite little phrases. I don't want to throw money away on rent, or I don't want to pay my landlord's mortgage, which is ridiculous because what if I asked you, when you go out to a restaurant, do you feel bad about paying the restaurant owner's bill? No, of course not. When you are renting, you are paying in exchange for value.
My mortgage has gone up another $200. So over the last 3 years, my mortgage continues to increase $200. So over the last 3 years, my mortgage has gone up $600. And it's shocking. It is very shocking because I don't feel like people talk about this. Like, people are all, you know, often glamorizing home ownership, but not really talking about the reality of home ownership in today's economy. So not only has my mortgage gone up, my HOA continues to increase every year. And it's just all shocking. It is all shocking because I feel like it's not spoken about. Like, I live in South Florida, and so I guess this is something I'm gonna have to get used to because everything is sky high here. The property taxes are high, the cost of living is high, and so I guess it's something that I need to prepare for every year because it's just expensive to live here. But a lot of times when you think that you're buying a house, you think that you're gonna have this set rate and that you're good and you won't have to you won't experience any increases like you would if you were renting. But reality check, you will experience some increases, especially depending on where you live at. So I just wanted to make this video to bring awareness around the situation that your mortgage payment can and will increase. And that if you are thinking about buying a house, like, make sure you go into the process being fully informed and aware of what you are signing up for.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.